Hey guys, how you doing? jpsarrireviews here. WandaVision is finally over, and definitely there are a lot of questions, some good things that happen in this show, and some things that were not so good. So in this video today, I want to break it down for you, the good and the bad, and ultimately I want to let you know if I think this is a great addition to the really vast field of MCU production pieces. So in the next couple of minutes, stay tuned. They're good. The first thing that I need to point out that I really like about the show, of course, is the fact that we are seeing more about Wanda and the Vision. We seeing more of their story in the aftermath, of course, of Avengers Endgame and everything that happened in the pretty much the first part of the MCU. And to be honest with you, I really enjoy that. I enjoy the characters. Definitely, they're fan favorites in the Marvel universe. And to really get to know more about him was, I think, the best part of it. I think Elizabeth Olsen plays a great Scarlet Witch, Wanda Maximoff, and Paul Bettany is terrific playing the part of the Vision. So I think that that's the best part of it, is that we get to see more of the relationship that has been, for many years, a big part of the Marvel Universe. And we can get to unfold parts of their lives and a lot of the stuff that happened prior even to the introduction to the MCU. So I really like that part. Not only we get to see more of them, also we get to see more of other characters that have been in the backstage or have been part of the MCU, but not as a central character. So we see more of Agent Wu that comes from the Ant-Man and the Wasp. We get to know Monica Rambeau, the daughter of Maria Rambeau, was a Captain Marvel. So the little girl now, she's all grown up. Also, we get to see more of Darcy Lewis, who was played by Kat Dennings, and she was at the Thor films. So we get to see more of these characters, and I like that. I like the fact that they also have kind of gained traction as characters. They're very important. They bring something to the table. And one thing I can say about the show is that it really connects heavily with everything that happened with the MCU. So there's a lot of connections here, and also it's setting the stage for other things that are going to come in this universe and the Disney Plus, and also in bigger films later in the future. A big part of this show, I think, is the fact that it pays homage. It's a love letter to a lot of sitcoms on television, in American television. So it starts like a mystery, and it starts unraveling as every episode goes. But every episode is paying homage to a different era in television. And it's kind of interesting. At first, it's a bit strange, but once you kind of get you get on the groove with it, then definitely you're really enjoying that. Also, there are a lot of Easter eggs for comic book fans. So a person like me that has grown up reading comics and knows the backstory of many of these characters, it's a phenomenal way to really present those different moments, whether it's visually, whether there is someone that shows up in the story. Also, there's connection to other parts of not only the MCU, but also a connection to the Fox universe that was created with the X-Men. So there's a lot of things there that are super interesting, and definitely as a geek, I really enjoy. The bad. Now it's time to talk about the bad. And as I mentioned, this is a love letter to television, to the long history of television in America. And I love that part. But at the same time, I would say the show suffers from it, because the show spends a lot of time really loving and embracing that. Particularly from the beginning of the show, I think some episodes suffer more than others. There's a lot of humorous moments here, which is fine. I like the balance of it. There's very serious moments. But I feel that the show suffers from it. So pacing is something that you're going to see. It spends a lot of time. I think the best part of the show were when there was a lot of action going on, where there were like a mystery unraveling, but it doesn't really happen all the time. It's just at the center and the middle of the film, of the series, and then of course a bit later in the show, and then the last episode is a all out type of event, more in line with what the MCU is. So I feel that in trying to build that momentum, it suffers a bit. So I would say that a lot of people are starting watching from the beginning. They get, I would say, out of sync with it, because they feel, well, this is not exactly what I envisioned about this, and it going in a different route. And when you try to be a mystery, it's kind of fun, but at the same time, it's easy to understand. You can even see a mile away who is behind everything. So the villain is kind of like a disappointment in some ways. I'm not going to tell you who the villain is, so you haven't watched it, but I'm telling you, it's just disappointing, but at least it's a throwback to a character, a villain that has been part of Wanda Maximoff, has been part of the Scarlet Witch world from the beginning. So it's a villain, also an ally person that has always been there. So I feel that it's good that they kind of build that up, but at the same time, it does suffer. I feel that the entire show has an identity crisis. It doesn't know exactly what it wants to be until the end. We realize what it is, but in the beginning, it's trying to, and it could be that it were trying to from the get go. They were trying to make it like that because definitely, this is in this case one that is going through a mental crisis, a mental breakdown, and I feel that the show is kind of like a mental breakdown. But at the same time, it just kind of out of sync sometimes with it. And the best part was actually when not only Wanda was in the middle of it, but other characters were in the middle of it. But and in many ways, it felt a bit disconnected at times. So I would say that some people will feel in love, they will fall in love with it, but other people will not feel as compelled to love the show. In conclusion, well, I can tell you one thing. I really enjoyed the show. I think in the end, it paid off really well. I think the last episode was the best overall. It was more in tune with what I envisioned about a story for Wanda and the Vision. And definitely there's a lot of things that were taken here from comic books, particularly I would say the House of M. And I think a lot of people can see the connection with the House of M. But it's kind of strange because the House of M, in the end, there's a big connection with the mutants. And of course, we don't have that in the MCU yet. But I do feel that it pay off really well. The villain was a bit of a disappointment. The whole story was a bit naive. There's a lot of magical elements of it, what have always been part of Wanda and the Scarlet Witch persona. So all of that there's a connection there. But not necessarily the show was always good with the pacing. So ultimately, if I have to give this show a final score, I would say, in my opinion, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10, which is very good. I like the show. It is not perfect. There are good things there. It's setting the stage for things to come on Disney Plus, but also on the MCU, and I'm grateful for that. I'm looking forward to a second season of this because I think that there is enough space for it, and definitely they set up some of that. So we'll see what happens, but definitely this is 7.5 out of 10. Some people might give it an 8. It's good. I wouldn't say it is perfect or is the best thing that ever happened, but definitely it's something there to consider. There are a lot of enjoyable moments. There are some moments that are not as enjoyable and a bit silly, but definitely it's not a bad show. But what is your opinion? What do you think about it? Do you like the show? Have you watched it? Are you still waiting to watch it? Let me know in the comments below. So once again, my friends, thanks for watching. God bless. Take care, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.